Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Matthew Walker. Matthew works at Schoolie Mitchell, where I'll let him explain more what it is he does, but works with companies, sounds like helping them with cost savings through invoice analysis and vendor management and procurement, different things. So, Matthew, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. We're very glad to have you. Can you let our listeners know a little bit more about you and about what it is and you do in your day-to-day world?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm with a company called Schoolie Mitchell. We do cost reduction consulting. And what we mean by that is we help organizations and businesses, anything from small and medium sized to large, as well as nonprofits, look at the costs that drive down their margin, but don't provide value to their customers. So things like waste, telecom, which is internet, phones, utilities, a lot of different categories. We have 18, 19 different categories that we leverage our industry expertise and analysis in all of our database of working with 33,000 clients since it started back in 1997 to really try to get best pricing, as well as looking at if we can optimize how they're doing their business with those vendors. Because sometimes some of the categories people will have multiple accounts because they want to keep each facility or each location separate. But if they would consolidate, then they could get better pricing. And so we look at a lot of different ways to optimize that cost. And the thing that attracted me to it is the way we do our business model is unless we are a benefit, then there's no cost to leverage our services. So it's self-funding, similar to in Texas. A lot of people can understand this a little bit easier because property taxes, you have vendors that will say, hey, let us fight the property tax increase. And if we can't get your taxes lowered, then you're not going to charge us anything. So similar for us.
Okay. And that is a question that popped up. How is your fee structure? You get a percent of what you save for your customers?
Yeah, we typically do 3-year contracts and we get a percent of the savings, but part of that is you also keep us involved. We'll do an annual review of the marketplace, see if we can get better deals and better pricing every year. And we also sort of become the point of contact and vendor person for you so that you don't have to deal with the vendor from a day-to-day or admin basis.
Okay. Very neat. Very interesting. I'm in the multifamily real estate world, and we have that a little bit with some of our energy providers, but not across the board. So we definitely need to connect on that and see if we can work something out. Well, in the now, and I suspect that you guys, we're kind of moving into the AI world or computer world. Are y'all utilizing any type of computer or AI models to review this, or y'all still look just
the home office, they are looking at that, and they definitely should be, because when it comes to the data processing, when you look at 3 months, 6 months when we first sign on a client, depending upon seasonality, sometimes up to a year's worth of invoices, it's a whole lot of data that AI really should be able to summarize and streamline that process to get to the first part is us baselining and saying, hey, here's your current spend. Then we look at, hey, can we optimize this? And then we start negotiating with not just your existing vendor, but then go out competitively. And so AI will allow us to get to that second, third, fourth step much quicker.
Sure. Well, in this world of what is something that you felt on your journey has helped kind of set you apart, or maybe something you found easier that others have found challenging along your path?
So I just switched into opening up. It's a franchise-based system, and so I just started this back in August of last year. But throughout my entire career, I've been in various forms of project and program management, looking at consulting in healthcare, was in oil and gas manufacturing, and then the 3 years before this, I was with HP Inc. Managing and over their social analytics program, looking at everything online about our products, our brand, and trying to leverage that to work towards best-in-class products.
Gotcha.
And so throughout all of that, I've always been somehow migrated and prioritized to fix and help failing projects and programs. And so that's what I sort of entertained and liked about this, is trying to help businesses do better and succeed. Because I've always liked that, the coming in, rescuing a project, getting it back on a healthy foundation, and then I would tend to get bored after that. And so with oil and gas, with layoffs and cyclical nature,
Sure.
when that happened, I would always be given the worst projects. And I enjoyed those, and I loved it. I'd have some that were getting delivered within a few months that had hundreds of problems, and we had to get that figured out and solved. And we typically did. Same with the social analytics program, the complexity that HP needed. They were struggling to get the tech to behave how they would like and for it to be useful. And I was in the middle of a dual master's program at the time where all of my electives was in analytics, was in AI. And so I was like, hey, I could leverage all of this stuff I'm learning and spending time and my own money on. I'd love to do this. And was able to sort of stabilize that program and then start rolling it out from just a customer service oriented program to pan HP.
Nice.
So working with engineering and go to market as well as CS. So that's how I sort of view this, is if I can help enough businesses and be a benefit, my income, all of that will take care of itself.
No, for sure. Yeah, if you're providing a service and filling needs that others need, that's out there, you're definitely will be it will be well rewarded financially and just spiritually, internally too. So, if someone's listening, any of our listeners want to maybe glean off anything that have found to help you be better at either personally or business, do you have any tips or tricks? Maybe podcast or books, anything like that you've liked that you found have really helped you?
Yeah, part of this journey going into Schoolie Mitchell, I've never been in sales, and it's a sales focused role. And a book that I came across, because I can be a bit of an introvert at times, and you always hear best salesmen are extroverts, but a book called The Introvert's Edge, I think the author is Matthew Pollard. It's a very interesting take, because he's an introvert, and his foray into sales when he was a much younger person was an interesting story. But really, his whole thing is introverts make the best salespeople, because they focus on a process. They need to find what works for them, how they can succeed at sales. But once they figure that out, then it doesn't matter what goes on exterior to your job. As long as you have that process, you can have all this stress going on, but then you just go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And his whole thing was, when he worked with extroverts and had extroverts working for him when he was in the corporate world, they could do well for a month or two, but then something happened. They missed a sale, or they had something going on in their personal life, or whatever reason, or they're having a bad day, and then their sales started to tank. Where the introverts then started to just typically outperformed on a consistent basis. So, and for me, like,
that's awesome. I mean, good points, because they're just on the process. They're focused on that process.
I mean, and career wise, it's try to find what you enjoy. Like I've been all over. I've been in healthcare, tech, oil and gas, and it's been a journey, and I'll still am on a journey. Like I'm always looking at, hey, what else is there that I could find interesting? And through all of this, like when I joined HP, I was able to volunteer regularly. And instead of, they gave you half a day a month, and instead of doing it all in one day, I would take an hour off and volunteer at a therapeutic horsemanship place.
Oh,
and I've continued doing that even though it's all the way across town. Just because I enjoy it. I grew up riding horses, and so I was like, hey, I'll just stay doing it. And so it's try to find what you enjoy. If you're not enjoying it, don't be afraid to take risks.
Else, right? Yeah. Well, great advice. That book sounds awesome for the introvert. And it probably gives. I love that it gives an introvert motivation that they can be in sales. Don't let the stereotype of introvert can't be in sales keep you from doing it. I'm more of an introverted person, but when I get around like the real estate stuff, I love talking about it. I can talk forever about it. Whereas some things not so much, but I'm going to put that on my Amazon list. So what is this? Maybe it. You just talked about being introverted. What is one of the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome in your career?
Oh, probably. Uh, how do I want to phrase this? Because I don't politic well. I don't agree with politics. Politics get in the way of good business decisions. And I've had it help more than hurt, but I have had it block promotions or delay promotions because I would say my opinion, and it was looking out for what was the best for the organization I was a part of at the time. But then find out later through my manager or through a friend who was talking to the leadership and said, "Oh, he has a bad attitude," and that's not it at all. And so just people who focus on appearance or focus on the non-important things are a challenge to me. It's probably because I'm an introvert, so those things come to be a bit of a challenge where I'm like, hey, we don't need to do what the customer is asking because they're just teasing that, and they're not going to actually do the second half of it. And I didn't say that in front of the customer. In front of the customer, like, yeah, we'll take that offline. We'll look if we can do it. But then reviewing it internally, it's like, let's be blunt, guys. Let's not speak platitudes and speak carefully. Like, should we do this or not? And so
just being upfront. No, that seems like a good advice. But yeah, like you said,
it can hurt. It can impact your career, but my mentality and it has helped more than it has hurt. But it is something that you have to be willing to say, but also realize there could be consequences to speaking your mind.
For sure. Well, it sounds like things are moving well. You in this new venture. As different people start having different successes, or maybe looking out towards the future, they start thinking of different ways that they can enhance their income, or maybe replace it as time goes on. Just because you only have so many hours a day to work, so sometimes people start looking at alternative, things that they can invest in, be real estate, mutual funds, opportunities like that. What are your thoughts on some of those?
I mean, stocks and things like that, I'm all for. It really depends on your risk profiles. And I hate sometimes people who use terminology that don't go into specifics because a lot of people don't know how to translate that. But for me, with stocks, like my wife's 401k, she's not very risk averse, or she's very risk averse. She's not risk tolerant. And so it's in your typical very well diversified things. Or some of our money that she's okay with. And again, I talked to her, she agrees with it. I talk about the investments, why I'm doing it, but I sort of approach some of that as venture capitalist mentality of if I can find 5 to 10 different companies that I believe in their product, I like their leadership, but it's a riskier bet. But it's a much higher reward if it does pay out. Then that's how I approach it, but very few people can handle that. I have a wealth management buddy that he's like, there's low risk people, medium risk, high risk. He said, you're beyond the high risk with some of this stuff. And I'm like, I understand that. And then when I make those investments, I know it could go to zero. And having to be okay with that. But when it comes to supplementing incomes, like I looked at a lot of different things before I sort of came across this over the years. And it's about doing the research, understanding the value and what it could do, and then not just you doing it yourself, but then talk to others. And that was the big thing for this is I'd gone down looking at franchises and alternative income streams before, and got far along the process a few times, but then could always find a reason to say no. Just because it was too much capital up front, or how they wanted it funded and different things. And then the potential earnings was not enough to justify it, because if you're going to spend $500,000 earning 100,000, 150,000 a year, doesn't really make sense.
Correct.
When you start a business. And most of those, that's what they were. And when I went to evaluate this one, it was cost reduction sounds boring. As I learned more, I'm like, okay, well, I like the business model of we only charge if we actually help them achieve savings and they stay in control. So it's their call or not. So it's not like we say that, but then we try to force it. And then if they don't choose it, we can still charge them. No, it's our clients stay in charge. And then once I got to, I could say yes. My next question was, can I find a reason to say no? I couldn't, but then I talked to, I think, eight to 10 different people, different mentors I've had, different business friends and family members. I talked to a lot about it. And then also some non-business people, and just sort of talk through what I was thinking, what was the opportunity, how could I succeed, what's the failure, what's the potential cost. And all of them at that point, by the end of those conversations, sort of came to I think you'll be upset if you don't do this. And so I said, okay, because I had a good paying job. I liked HP. I wasn't actually looking to leave. But once I got to that point of I could say yes, and everyone I talked to couldn't help me find a reason to say no, I decided to take the dive. So it's a lot of research, I would say, for people. Don't just go into things blind. Don't go into it based on what people say. Do your research, look into it, do the math, and understand your own risk tolerance.
Yeah, no, it's very, very well said. Is find that comfort level and have mentors and family, friends that also back it up. It sounds like a great opportunity, and which you should go with. So, as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the works for the next 6 to 12 months?
No, I mean, we're still trying to get to income stability, because I was a large part of our income. Like, we don't have kids, but me and my wife, I was probably 2/3 of our income. So getting to where we can stabilize that, and then we'll start looking at doing more fun things. So for me, it's still networking, trying to meet new and more clients, and getting along that process.
Awesome. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing lots of great tips and insights with our listeners. If people wanted to get in touch with you to learn more about what it is you're doing, or if they can potentially benefit from your services, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Probably email. And my email is matthew.walker@schooliemitchell.com. And it's spelled how it sounds, SCHOOLEYMITCHELL.com. Or they could also reach me on my cell, 713-576-6473.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very insightful. I definitely want to chat with you and see if it's something we can look at some of our properties. So everyone, thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. Be sure to like and share this episode. Pass it along. And again, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great insight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, hold tight. Let me get a still shot. Don't jump off just yet.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.